don't think I need any more articles for this morning.
No, we never get through all the articles anyway. I feel like capping it at 2 or 3 is probably... It's probably realistic.
And here's the intro. And good morning. And yes, Brett Brown hits us with the weather report first thing. It is slick and wet out today, so y'all be safe out there. And you know, funny story, I actually took today and tomorrow off for reasons entirely unrelated to the weather. But I ain't gonna lie, I'm glad I'm not out shooting houses on a shitty, wet, sticky day like this. I freaking hate trying to do. Okay, so overcast, little cloudy. Perfect.
Yeah, giant softbox in the sky.
Exactly. Right?
Like, that is the optimal lighting condition for anything you would ever want to film or photograph. Just boom.
Yeah. Bright, sunny day, not the one you want for taking... Now, for film work, action conditions with an adequate camera, bright, sunny day is fine. But optimal is overcast.
Yeah, the overcast.
But
can't
buddy,
control the weather.
Oh yeah, and if I mean, I'm gonna walk up to somebody's house and hey, I'm coming in to shoot pictures after stomping through your muddy ass yard in my floppy boots. Nope. Plus, I also have to shoot exteriors and expose a couple grand worth of camera equipment to the no, thank you, but no. And we're talking about Elon again, and this time it's
Meme More Monday. Punch it home. What
it is.
What is the meme? We're talking.
Well,
current reigning meme king.
This is not exactly a meme. This is more like the stock of meme from which memes spring. So let me back up a little bit before I actually show the meme itself. What has happened is.
So wait. You're not saying that this is meme soup. You're saying this is meme bone broth.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So Elon has been pound me too'd. And amusingly, today trending on Twitter is #mentoo. Or pound men too, and I'm sorry, no thank you. But Elon last week said, I'm going to vote Republican. I've never voted Republican. I don't think I've ever voted Republican before. He said, I'm not sure, but I think I've actually voted exclusively Democrat my entire life. And, you know, if you're paying attention, Bill Maher, let me just remind you, you are the root of the problem. It has taken you this long to understand that the Democrat is an evil. The Democrat, the base position of the Democrat is rooted in taking property against your will through violence, threat of force, and the implementation of various forms of eugenics, right? The Democrat Party is the party of eugenics. That's what the abortion argument is about. The abortion argument is still, as evil as abortion is on the face of it, never forget that for the Democrat, the face of the abortion argument is rooted plainly, no matter what they say about bodily autonomy and women's rights and women's health and all that stuff, the entire argument of abortion is rooted plainly in the extermination of black people. Not all non-whites, explicitly African, genetically African originating blacks. That is the whole of the abortion position on the left, is to exterminate black people. So never forget that. Now, understanding that, we're going to move forward into how political attacks originate and why. So, yes, Elon, you are part of the problem. You voted for these things. You built the house of shit that you're standing in. Now, you're doing good work now. You're starting to move in the right direction, and we appreciate the hell out of that. But I want you all to keep this in mind as you look at Elon taking over Twitter and starting to have his red pill moments. You should look on Elon Musk's ascent to decency with cautious optimism. Okay? But last week he declared that he intends to vote Republican in the upcoming election. That would be the midterms, right? Where the red wave is pretty... If there is not a red wave in this midterm, and you are not suspicious of that, then you're... I've got some oceanfront property to sell you in Arizona.
No. It'll be the most... It will supplant 2020 as the most fortified election of all
Correct.
time. I mean, like fortified with vitamins and shit. Like, just it's like a breakfast cereal commercial from
like
the
my
80s.
Cigarettes. Those things will kill you. No, man, I thought they were fortified with like vitamin C and shit. So, Elon said that, and well played, Steve. And at almost the same time, he tweeted about this tweet. And he tweeted along the lines of, why aren't we calling this out? And made some comments about it. This is a tweet from Hillary Clinton that was a big part of what launched the original Russia investigation. And she says, computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. Statement from Jake Sullivan on new report exposing Trump's secret line of communication to Russia. This, we now know, was a complete fabrication. Just like the Steele dossier, Pissgate, the whole Russian narrative. What we learned from the Mueller report was that there was no evidence to support that any of this occurred. We did not learn from the Mueller report that there was no collusion between Trump and Russia. What we learned there was that there was no evidence to prove that it had occurred. But if I'm being fair and logical, the fact is that you cannot prove a negative. What you can, however, prove is a positive. And it turns out that after the Mueller report, we got the, what's the other guy? The
Comey?
No, the report that came after the Rosen something. Damn it, I forget the name. But anyway, what we have learned following the Mueller report, the next investigation has found that there is a positive that can be proved, and that is that Durham, thank you, Scrimshaw. The Durham report taught us that, Jesus, did it just start pouring?
Yeah, it's raining a little bit.
All right. Anyway, the Durham report proved for us that there is substantial evidence that the several law firms and the Hillary Clinton presidential campaign were actively involved in constructing the Russia narrative. So while the narrative itself could not be explicitly disproved, once it's proved that the narrative was constructed out of whole cloth, then we know what actually happened. Hillary Clinton's presidential campaign employed law firms for the explicit and premeditated purpose of committing high crimes against the United States of America and a sitting president. Because let's not forget, the hoax and the spying, we now know, continued well after Trump was inaugurated. It wasn't just opposition research and opposition tactics to try and take down a competitor in the midst of an election. After the election was over and Trump won and was inaugurated and began serving as president,
you got to read the.
Anyway,
that's funny, Alex. That's.
Oh.
So, okay. So a couple of things. One, you could make the case that just about everything that is this level of, let's call it political hobbling, that's existed for the past couple of decades. You lay all that at the feet of the Clintons, because let's not forget, it's the racist Republicans that get the blame for it.
Correct.
But it was a Hillary Clinton staffer that first suggested that Barack Obama was not born in this country. Just by the by. This is not the first time the Clintons have pulled these sorts of shenanigans. And it's also
the whole birther thing began as a Clinton maneuver to try and delegitimize Obama in her primary campaign against him in 2008.
But also, and this hoax, and it was a hoax, like from the beginning, like, oh, Jeff Beauregard Sessions is in on the Russia hoax?
Right.
Right? Come on. Really?
And we found out that, he did meet a Russian diplomat.
Yeah, in official capacity.
In his official capacity at a Liberty Caucus meeting.
Right. So basically he was a senator doing, like, senator-type shit and talking to, foreign dignitaries.
Basically they shook hands and said "Privyet" and walked along.
Yeah, which is what you're supposed to do. But let's not forget, if you want to talk about things that hobbled the Trump presidency, all the successes that the Trump presidency had, think about how many more it would have had if you hadn't had the Republican Paul Ryan Congress like dragging its feet over the Russia thing. Like, that was Rush Limbaugh's theory, that the reason why he got no cooperation from Congress was because they were terrified of the fallout from the Russia probe.
Right.
Which is why we
I think that
still have Obamacare.
Obvious.
So when Elon attacks this particular tweet and says, why is this not taken down? There's not just the context of all the disinformation and scary pop-ins and all that other shit that's happened recently. There's also history stretching back at least to the beginning of the Trump presidency, and one of the few campaign promises that Trump didn't keep was the repeal of Obamacare. Now, he can't unilaterally repeal it as an executive, but this is one of for the purposes of this discussion, let's call it a failing. This is one of the few failings of the Trump presidency, and it's because he was sabotaged before he ever even took office. So,
and continuously after taking office.
And so, why is this tweet not coming down? Why Elon even asking this question? Why is it important? Well, first things first, Elon Musk didn't kill himself. Just in case.
Right.
If Elon doesn't make it at least to 70 years old and die of old age, he didn't kill himself, okay?
That's correct.
He didn't die in a car crash. He didn't die in a helicopter crash.
That is correct. And so Elon, shortly after bringing that up, so we're talking May 18th. We're talking last week, middle of last week. He says he's going to vote Republican. He starts asking questions about the Clinton hoax. And then he says, political attacks on me will escalate dramatically in coming months. The attacks against me should be viewed through a political lens. This is their standard despicable playbook, but nothing will deter me from fighting for a good future and your right to free speech. And then, okay, we'll get to that in just a minute. And then almost immediately, so this was on Friday, I think, was the first article making the claims. Apparently, the first article said that this woman who was a masseuse, actually what they said was this woman who was a flight attendant on Elon's private jet was asked to massage him, and then while she was giving him a full body massage, he exposed himself and patted her thigh and said, "I'll buy you a pony." Now that we've gotten more details, what we've learned is, okay, this wasn't a flight attendant that he said, "Hey, will you give me a body?" No, she was a licensed massage therapist that was hired to do massage. It was her job. Now, as far as whether or not Elon exposed himself intentionally or briefly or anything like that, I don't know. I suspect not. Because if we've learned anything over the last several years, it's this. Democrats are perverse. They're sexual degenerates. And generally, the Democrat, we expect it, and they accept it. All right? Kennedy, Johnson, Clinton, Obama, and, dare I say, Vice President Spitroast and the Sniffer-in-Chief. These are all painful, explicit sexual deviants.
Obama was a sexual deviant?
Yes. Have you seen Michael? I knew you would take that bait if I threw it out there for you.
I walked right
Big
into
Mike!
that. Wow.
Big Mike!
Wow. Wow. The last person. Wow.
But,
dude, she was first lady.
The other thing... No, she wasn't.
She identified as such.
She was the first gentleman.
Okay. Wow. All right. Not getting derailed. We're coming to a point.
But basically, we know that if you're a Democrat, nobody's surprised to find out that you're a grotesque sexual deviant, a rapist, a monster. And, I mean, hell, look at Biden. I mean, the guy is... If Biden has never raped a child, my beard is still black. Now, and I suspect that among the children he's raped are his daughter. And that's based on what we've learned from her journal. She talks about some really creepy, specific stuff that is, it just doesn't...
Boy, that journal...
It's the kind of... Basically, showering with her father as a child. And until, even until recently, apparently.
Yeah, that journal is the kind of thing where if I'd heard about the journal, I'd have said, nah, I don't believe that. Then the federal government swooped in and said, hey, you're not allowed to tell people about that journal. And then I went, okay, wait a minute.
Yep.
Maybe
as soon as you said you can't, as soon as the government said you can't trust this journal, find us on Rumble. Chris is not, that is correct. I am not suicidal.
Okay, so, but then of course, Elon gets Me Too'd. That's their, don't search for that right now. Come on, man.
Oh, I have to. I just have to. He's right. There's no pictures.
Well, there's no pictures that we're aware of. That doesn't mean anything. Okay? There's not a ton of pictures of the mother of my first two children pregnant. Okay, like that's not necessarily absence of evidence is not
but
evidence.
nobody's chasing her. There are not professional glitterati chasing her around for the pig. Anyway.
Well, at the time she would have been pregnant. Obama wasn't even a senator yet. So, like, let's not forget how quick his career jumped up. But anyhow, look.
Right, and that's a valid point, because that's not suspicious at all.
Yeah, exactly. But he got Me Too'd. He got supposedly Me Too'd.
Yes, and as soon as it happened, and that was the point that I was getting to. If you are a conservative and you become a problem, you become difficult, you become valuable or powerful, then you can bet. Herman Cain, just all of a sudden there were these sexual harassment allegations.
That never went anywhere.
That was probably the last one where any of us should have even entertained the possibility that the allegations weren't entirely fabricated. By the time we get to Kavanaugh, if you believe for a moment that any of the allegations, I mean, from the instant they were made, if you believe for a moment that any of those allegations weren't entirely fabricated for political purposes, then your naivete should render you ineligible to vote. Quite simply.
I'm still okay with means testing for voting.
I am too.
If look, in all seriousness, if we don't allow felons to vote in most states, okay, fine. Let's have a list of things that disqualify you from voting. Cool. I am A-okay with that.
And the first thing on that list should be if you are not a net contributor. As in, if you get more in tax return or you are on welfare programs, you don't vote.
Right. So,
but the fact that an allegation came out so immediately, I dismiss it.
With such perfect timing.
I dismiss it immediately.
Yes. Kavanaugh, like, I've sat on this secret for years. And look, not to make light of it, I understand that there are sexual abuse victims that do conceal the crimes against them for a long time because there's very complex psychological scarring that goes alongside of sexual abuse. Fair enough. However, she didn't have a problem with Kavanaugh all the other times he became a judge. It's only when he's going to become the Supreme Court. And if the Roe v. Wade decision that looks like it's coming down the pipe is any indication, it's pretty obvious what happened. They were terrified of letting somebody on the court that would understand that Roe was bad law and would vote to overturn it. And they were willing to do anything, including like perjury before Congress, in order to prevent him from ever being, put on the court. But the problem is this is just like the racism thing. They really blew their wad with everything with Donald Trump. And I really feel like the left now is scrambling to figure out how to run its playbook. Because now it's like, oh, you're a racist. Yeah, really? Piss off. I've heard that one too many times. Oh, well, you're sexist. Yeah, again, piss off. I've heard that one too many times. You took things too far with the whole Russia hoax thing. So now when you say, oh, well, Elon is a creep. Look, it's possible. I could fully well consider. I mean, he did vote Democrat for a long period of time. It's entirely possible that Elon was a creep. But Elon, well, he didn't have a problem getting women, right? It's a thing. It's one of the reasons why men want to be rich.
Yeah.
Like, you have your pick of the litter. And misogynistic or not, like, if it weren't true, men wouldn't believe it, okay? Like, it's just a fact. So, but now he's been Me Too'd in what I think is an effort that failed immediately. In fact, they've gone so far with these sorts of accusations. Now, an actual deviant, I think, could slip through the cracks because we're so resistant toward believing this sort of information. It's sort of like we were talking about in the group thread the other day. Don't ever tell me that I need to wear a mask to prevent the spread of a disease. Don't ever tell me that, because I don't know that I'm going to believe it until it's way too late.
Right. Oh, yeah, the monkeypox thing. They're talking about monkeypox now, and I'm sorry, but guess what? If the monkeypox is actually a problem, it's going to win. because you've compromised the trust of the people in the ability of the government and of the non-government organizations to handle that outbreak. We don't trust you because you have given us reason, not just you've given us reason not to trust you, you've given us explicit reason to the contrary, to absolutely distrust you. It's not that we're going to look at anything you say skeptically. It's that you've pushed it so far that we're going to look at anything you say and assume that it is the opposite of true.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 17 times, and I'm tired of looking like a fucking retard.
All right, if a dog bites you once, shame on you. If a dog bites you twice, shoot the dog.
Right? So, anyhow, we're coming up on time. Can we get to Musk's, like, just chef's kiss of a tweet?
Here he comes. So he swings in for the win. He says, and for the record, those wild accusations are utterly untrue. But I have a challenge to this liar who claims their friend saw me exposed. I didn't even get this far yet, but describe just one thing, anything at all, scars, tattoos. Bitch, am I circumcised? That isn't
basically
known by the public. She won't be able to do so because it never happened. The first articles that came out and described this said that the masseuse herself had made the accusations. Turns out that's not true. In fact, what has happened is a friend of hers has come out and penned a letter. Elon Musk responded to allegations he exposed himself to a corporate jet flight attendant by daring his accuser to describe just one thing, anything. A Business Insider report on Thursday alleged that a flight attendant for SpaceX's private jet fleet was paid $250,000 in 2018 to settle a sexual misconduct claim against the company's founder and CEO. A friend of the flight attendant, and here it is. This is what happened. A friend of the flight attendant signed a declaration accusing the tech billionaire of exposing himself to the attendant, who is also a licensed massage therapist. According to the declaration, right? So it probably is the case that she was paid $250,000 to shut up and go away. Basically, it looks like what happened is this chick said, "Hey, I'm willing to lie unless you pay me some nuisance money to go away." And she took that payout. Now, I'm going to be interested to see if what should happen here, I think, is Musk should pursue this friend who has come out and said, "Hey, my friend told me X, Y, and Z." Here's what I think happened. The masseuse basically blackmailed Musk out of $250,000. $250,000 for a guy like Musk in nuisance money is no big deal compared to the damage that can be done by one bitch who's willing to lie about you.
Oh yeah, it's like me paying $50, or you know what? I'm just going to stop right there.
Now, if she went and ran her mouth to a friend after taking that nuisance money, Musk should absolutely pursue her for I can just about guarantee that
There's
nuisance money was paid on an NDA, and she is. It looks like what has actually happened is she's violated the NDA that she signed voluntarily in order to take the blackmail money that she demanded with a false sexual assault allegation. And now her friend, who thought that she was doing good work for the party, has just outed that.
And you might ask yourself, why would you pay the nuisance money if you're innocent? And it's real simple. Look at the timeline, 2018. Okay, at this point, the Me Too movement is firmly established. It is top mind awareness.
Yeah, we're in the throes of it.
We're in the throes of it, and when the zeitgeist is infected by a mind virus, people get stupid about certain things, and that was a mind virus that you saw sexual harassment everywhere, around every corner, and suddenly simple things like, being catcalled by a construction worker, a thing that I've never actually seen happen in real life, by the way. But suddenly, that's all sexual harassment. Yeah. And so it's on everybody's mind. And Elon probably had a meeting with his lawyers that went something like this. Said, look, it's going to cost you at least $200,000 in litigation to fight this. And then there's no guarantee that this bitch doesn't clean your clock for millions of dollars. And then you've got a public image problem because she's allowed to say, oh, I sued Elon for sexual harassment and won $8 million because Elon Musk is a piece of shit. So do the math, Elon. Here's what you do. You pay this money, you make this go away because you're going to walk into this with 2 strikes against you because you're a rich white male.
But he's African American.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, oh yeah. Richest man in the world's African American, but it's systemic oppression. Yeah. And yeah. And so that's what happened. It was a calculation, okay? And now, okay, now that the friend is popping up, there's probably, I wouldn't even be surprised if there's something along the lines of, okay, you know, there's an NDA, but if she already had some kind of a discussion with a friend, or I don't know, yeah, I'm willing to go down.
The original masseuse may be able to get off the hook by saying, well, I talked to my friend about it before the lawsuit, before the settlement, before the NDA, and there's nothing I could do about that. In which case, I would say that Musk absolutely has a case against the claimant, against the friend here, for libel and defamation. For libel, slander, and defamation.
And I wouldn't even be surprised. Like,
I would actually be surprised if he pursues that. I'd like to see him pursue it because all of these false accusers, they need to be destroyed. Absolutely destroyed. I mean, lives ruined because these women like Dr. Blasey Ford or whatever, these absolute bitches, they need to be flayed in public financially. They need to be absolutely financially ruined.
Yeah, I'm afraid to fly
entirely
unless I'm going
destitute
to Fiji.
Because here's the truth. If you believe a woman's accusations of sexual harassment when you're dealing with public figures, your naivete is dangerous. It is a threat to civil liberty. And the women who engage in that absolute crime are responsible for creating that reasonable suspicion. The mantra, believe all women, you cannot. You have to look at every sexual accusation against a public figure, especially. But even if you're talking about non-public figures, private figures, if there's any possibility that there's a conflict of interest where there's a profit to be had by the woman making the accusation, you have to look at it suspiciously now. And that is because of these women who have just flagrantly made false accusations. And St. Michael mentions all those Hollywood bimbos that waited 20 plus years to tell their story. Yeah, those girls. So a lot of the Me Too movement was about the so-called casting couch. And, oh, well, this director said he'd give me a part if I'd sleep with him. Okay, honey, that's not rape. You're a whore. You traded your body for a profit. You traded your body for pay. He didn't force himself on you. Now, I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm not saying that what he did was even okay, or that I'm excusing what he did. But what he did when he said, I will pay you to have sex with me, is very different than rape. You voluntarily accepted compensation to engage in sexual intercourse for profit. You're not a victim. You're a whore.
Yeah, that's, no, and look, it might be wrong as hell, but it doesn't make it rape. And just one other thing.
Well, and the
real
important
quick.
In a rape, there's a monster and there's a victim. What you did, there are two, you're both wrong. You're both bad people. And neither of you is a worse person than the other. You're both just bad.
But as far as the believe all women thing, the other current giant meme that seems to revolve around this, Amber Heard, I think she's I think Amber Heard single-handedly has destroyed the "Believe All Women" hashtag.
I hope so.
Amber Turd.
She left a grumpy.
Like, again, I'm still baffled by that. Like, of all things, like, because that requires thought, you know? Like,
Yeah.
just, anyhow, but.
All right. Well, we're 5 minutes over. Y'all, I think we had a pretty good show this morning.
Elon Musk didn't kill himself, me more Monday.
Elon Musk did not kill himself. Y'all be safe out there. We love you, and we'll see you tomorrow.